a block from the Bourbon Street attack.
We come outside, people are screaming, there's tons of cop cars. I mean, like 50 to 100.
What a Raleigh man witnessed and why the tragedy didn't stop him from attending today's Sugar Bowl game.
Here's the cold front that means our weekend will be much colder. All-time out plunging temperatures and the next chance for rain.
Then a stray bullet hits a local family's home on New Year's Eve. Breaking a tradition may have saved their lives. It seems like every hour we learn something new about the attack in New Orleans. We want to get you the newest details. We know the driver acted alone. The FBI says the driver planted 2 other explosive devices near the incident site. President Biden says he will try to visit the area in the days ahead. Thanks for being with us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. Of course, that is not the only big investigation that is underway right now. Officials are also looking into the Cybertruck explosion, the one that happened outside of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. President Biden says there's no evidence linking this with what happened in New Orleans, but we do know both drivers do have connections to North Carolina. For instance, both men served in the Army, went through Fort Liberty. However, we did dig into this a bit and found that they did not serve in the same unit. Both men did serve in Afghanistan in the same year, though, in 2009. But we can't find any evidence that they were even in the same area.
Both incidents have law enforcement nationwide on high alert. Plenty of cities have big events this weekend, including in Raleigh. WRAL's Carly Haynes joining us live in downtown Raleigh, where inauguration ceremonies will take place next week. Carly, what security measures are already in place?
Well, we're seeing some wooden scaffolding right outside of the Capitol, and we know that Highway Patrol is going to be taking charge in those security measures. They can't give us too much information right now about what they're doing exactly, and that is for safety reasons. But we know a lot of agencies are going to be helping out, and that includes Wake County Emergency Management. They've already had conversations about strengthening communication, and they said that they learn lessons from big national tragedies like what we saw in New Orleans, making sure they can take something away from that and apply it to their own big events.
This is, got so many of us talking about just our own feelings about security. I want to shift gears a little bit because you are learning more about one of the victims in New Orleans.
Right. We learned more about Tiger Besh today. He is a former Princeton football player, and we actually learned about him from one of his former teammates who is from Garner. I want to show you this picture. This is from Princeton football. The local teammate told us Besh was high energy. He always kept things light and had a big heart. Besh was from Louisiana and had actually been with one of his teammates the night of the attack.
Your heart breaks when you see stuff like this, but I think for anybody, it hits a lot different when, your friends, your family, your loved ones are involved in a senseless incident like this. So we were all kind of in shock, and we're all in the loop trying to figure out what's going on.
And Besh was with Ryan Quigley, his other teammate. He is expected to be okay. He had surgery for a broken leg. But, of course, we hear about incidents like this in New Orleans, and we look ahead to this inauguration that's happening on January 11th. We are curious about those security measures that are going to be in place.
Well, I know you will be following it. Carly, thank you. And we should also mention Charlotte-Mecklenburg police are stepping up security ahead of tomorrow night's bowl game in Charlotte. They released a statement today about that. It says the attack in New Orleans has impacted the men and women of our department, as it has members of the Charlotte community. As our city prepares for Friday's Duke Mayo Bowl at Bank of America Stadium, additional security measures are being taken. We ask everyone attending to trust their instincts and report any potential suspicious activity. We're committed to the safety of everyone attending Friday's game.
New tonight in the WRAL Live Center, the FBI sharing that they're seeking any new information in solving this Bourbon Street attack. Just within the past 45 minutes, they posted this to their X account. You can see some of the images of the suspect and some of what he was wearing the early morning hours of the New Year's Day attack. Focus your attention here on this cooler. They also posted this. It shows the cooler with an IED or an improvised explosive device placed between Bourbon and Orleans Street, meant to cause a lot of harm with several people. At this time, the FBI has established a digital tip line, and at last check, they have received more than 400 tips.
Aaron, thank you. So if you thought today was cold, get ready. Tomorrow's going to be colder. The lows dip into the 20s. And Mike, people around here can't help themselves. When we get this cold, they want to talk about snow. What's the situation here?
There is no snow in our forecast at the beginning of the week. It looked like possibly Sunday night and Monday we could see something frozen. Models have completely backed off, so we're just looking at some rain Sunday night and during the day on Monday. Now, it was a colder day today. 48 was the high. 58 was the high yesterday. We're in the 30s right now. 39 in Raleigh, 32 at Roxborough. Cold night ahead with temperatures in the 20s and 30s. Milder tomorrow in the 50s, but this front moves on by and we're back to some colder air for the weekend. In fact, in the morning on Saturday, wind chills will likely be in the teens, feeling like 11 at 7 a.m. Saturday morning at Roxborough and South Hill, 16 here in Raleigh, 18 in Fayetteville. So if you thought today was cold, it gets colder for the day on Saturday. The morning low 24, the high only 41, and with that wind chills during the afternoon likely to still be in the 20s. 48 on Sunday with maybe some sprinkles by the end of the day. A better likelihood of rain on Monday. I'll outline that coming up.
All right, Mike, thank you. Another police chief retires, and Josh Stein takes his first actions as North Carolina's governor. Let's roll through a few of today's big headlines. Here are 5 things you should know right now. A crash on Oakwood Avenue in Raleigh took out a power pole. This is over at the Tarboro Street intersection. Sky 5 flying over the scene. An SUV rolled over in the crash and hit the power pole. We're told 2 adults and a juvenile were inside the SUV. Police say they have non-life-threatening injuries. No word on what caused the crash. Durham police are searching for the person who shot 3 people early this morning. This was a scene on Guest Road near a nightclub. DPD tells us that one of the victims is in critical condition right now. The other 2 have less serious injuries.
The Cary police say a car almost hit a Hindu temple this morning. This was the scene around 9:30 Southeast Maynard Road. Police say the driver was not in the car at the time. They say the parking brake had failed and the car rolled into an AC unit there. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. Quite a scene, though. So Josh Stein's first official action as governor had to do with Hurricane Helene relief. He signed 5 executive orders today in Asheville. He formed a new state agency focused on relief, lifted regulations on state government purchases, and made it so that its state employees can have an easier time volunteering to help out and get some time off to do so. Another police chief in our area is stepping down. Wake Forest Police Chief Jeff Leonard is retiring. He served in the role for the last 15 years, the longest serving chief of police in Wake County. His last day will be February 1st.
A couple believes their decision to change a decade-long New Year's Eve tradition may have saved a life. This is where a stray bullet went through their ceiling just minutes after the ball dropped, exactly where they typically sit to celebrate. After that close call, the couple tells WRAL's Destiny Patterson they want to see more responsibility from people.
What ifs haunt this couple?
Normally, New Year's Eve, we celebrate in the living room together.
A simple decision to go to bed early changed everything for Geneva Riddick Faulkner and Sean Faulkner.
All of a sudden, I heard what sounded like a pop.
The next morning, they learned the source of that noise.
I said, what happened in here? And I moved the pillow and I said, that's a bullet.
In the very place she would have been ringing in 2025.
That's my spot, right here in the corner. So my head was right where the bullet fell.
Change of plans, and you're able to sit here and talk with me about it.
The God's protection. That's the first time in our 10 years together that we have not celebrated in the living room.
They believe veering from tradition saved her life.
Some of the pieces of the ceiling.
Patch from the outside, they still have to make some repairs here from where that bullet came through the ceiling. Their shock quickly turned to fear. They say that they're worried about how this could have affected other people in their community.
In a statement, the Halifax sheriff said, hopefully the seriousness of this issue of what could happen will open some eyes to this problem and people can find a more productive way to bring in the years to come. As deputies investigate, this couple is just trying to make this space feel as safe as it once did. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Halifax County.
We are talking to a Raleigh man who took this video in New Orleans the night of the attack on New Year's. he was just a block away when it all went down. And up next, we're going to talk about how the city has changed in the last 2 days or so as he's been there, the increased security and the somber feelings on Bourbon Street. That's right after the break. A Raleigh man was one of the folks who was there in New Orleans on New Year's Eve. Noah Preston is his name. He was just blocks away from the attack when it happened. He spoke to WRAL yesterday about all the things that he saw. We've been keeping in touch with him. We spoke again with him a little earlier today, and we talked about how things have changed in the city since it all happened, the heightened security that is there, and the overall vibe among people on Bourbon Street. Let's start with what you experienced. Give us an idea of where you were, what you heard, that sort of thing when it all happened.
We left Bourbon Street and went over to the casino just to see the river walk and hang out for a second. Left there and we decided, hey, we'll get a pizza over at, I think it's called like Wild Wing. And while we were there, we ordered pizza. We come outside, people are screaming, and there's tons of cop cars. I mean, probably 50 to 100, lots of cops. We saw cops running by us, people running back to their hotels. We were a little confused, but being in New Orleans, you kind of take it with a grain of salt that there's going to be a little bit of crime and a lot of police. And we started going back towards our hotel, and people are telling us to get inside and that there's been a shooting. And we were all just a little bit confused, but I wake up the next day and my friend David is like telling me, you know, there's all these news and commotion about Bourbon Street and that there was a car crash last night. And so we turn on the news and they're honestly shocked by it all.
Being as close to it as you were, how are you feeling now knowing what happened?
Definitely blessed, but really shocked. I mean, I know that there's evil people out there that do evil things, and it's a sad reality that we live in at certain times. But, you know, I still have faith. I think the American race and the human race is strong, and we all support each other, and, you know, we stick together in these hard times.
For me, for all of the viewers at home, we're witnessing another one of these events, you know, through a screen. We're watching it, you know, happen in other places. But for you, it was literally a block away. How has that been different, experiencing it, being so close?
It's quite a lot. You can feel it in the city. When we first got here on Tuesday, it was really joyful, hype. Everybody's out having fun, enjoying themselves. And after this whole incident, it's a little more sorrowful. People are walking around just kind of cautious. There's a lot of cops and interactions with them. I definitely feel more secure. I think they've done a fantastic job. We've seen FBI agents, MP, and, you know, cops just all over. But it's definitely been everyone being kind to each other, more friendly, and trying to help out. You know, that's that human connection with everybody.
What has it been like today? How have things changed as they approach the game tonight?
Again, I think everyone feels really safe with having this much police protection. We were walking around the streets last night and all the cops have their cars on with the lights on, letting their presence be known that they're here to serve and protect. What's funny enough, though, actually, is that we just walked down Bourbon Street maybe 10, 20 minutes ago, and there's nothing out there. It's completely different. My friend and I were talking about it. There's nobody out there. There's no partying. There's no joy. It's just kind of a sorrowful feeling that you get when you walk down in that same area where the incident did occur.
Do you think this will change the way that you feel about going to big events like that?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's just how life is and how reality is. You got to enjoy yourself and go out and know that bad things can occur, but know where your heart's at and where to look. And it's just, for me, you can't live in fear. You just have to trust that our government and our police force and our, you know, healthcare workers, that they'll all try to serve and protect and help us as much as they can so that we can enjoy our lives with the full freedom that we have.
Well, I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you took some time to talk to us tonight. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. If we could just take 1 second and talk about that, because I found a few things kind of interesting about that interview, especially interesting. For one, his optimism and his positivity, which was carried out throughout that entire interview. Now, I know I don't know Noah personally, but, you know, that might be his vibe. But what I do know is that we are from different generations, him and me. I'm from the pre-Columbine world, and he's not. Mass shootings and school shootings and these sorts of things have been much more prevalent during his developmental years than mine. I think about my kids now. When they were in kindergarten, they had active shooter drills. In kindergarten, in school, the teacher explained how important it was to them, to these kids, how important it was to stay quiet so the bad guy doesn't find them hiding. It's terrifying. We have these conversations with 5-year-olds now. Is that the foundation for fear and anxiety in their lives as they grow up, or apathy, or somewhere in between? He mentioned in that interview there that he felt safer because the place was crawling with police and deputies and troopers and FBI and all that sort of thing. Does that make you feel safer? Maybe for kids growing up with police officers in schools and weapons detectors at the door and mandatory bag searches if it pings your water bottle. Is that the way it should be? Is that safety nowadays? After all, Bourbon Street is a soft target, as they call it. Hundreds of police and security will certainly harden up that target, right? This is also a conversation that usually revolves around guns, and it doesn't take long for it to be consumed by it. And rightfully so. It's one of the most important conversations that we can have in this country. But it's not the entire conversation. You don't need a gun to kill 14 people and cause panic and force a community into lockdown. Look, I work in the news. I get it. I see the bad stuff every single day. I'm a dad and a husband, and my protectiveness can border on paranoia sometimes. I get that. And I wonder, should I be more like Noah, or are we both missing something here? I'm curious how these events sit with you. So let me know. Give me your thoughts. Send me an email to dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what is on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
Yeah, I think they're important questions, Dan.
Definitely are.
Let's talk about this chill that we are experiencing now and are going to be experiencing even more so in the coming days, Mike.
Yeah, we keep getting bigger and bigger tastes of the cold air. We had one today. It was 48 the high. Colder over the weekend and even colder next week. You'll see that in the 7-day forecast coming up. 39 right now out at RDU, 32 at Roxborough, 34 at Rocky Mount, 42 in Fayetteville, 35 in Goldsboro. And hour by hour as we hit through the evening, we'll stay in the 30s, and our morning low tomorrow will be about 30. We'll see the clouds increase overnight. So if we had clear sky, we'd probably be a little bit colder. And also with the clouds increasing, it would limit the viewing of the quadrantid meteor shower late tonight and toward daybreak. So tomorrow, with high pressure scooting out, we'll have a southwest wind. Tomorrow we expect a warmer day. Highs will be in the upper 40s to low 50s. Also a chance for some sprinkles or a light rain shower later in the day ahead of the front. Once the front passes, we're into colder air for the weekend. Then we're focusing on this system. At the beginning of the week, it looked like Sunday night and Monday, some of us could see some frozen precipitation. Well, as the week has gone on, that looks less and less likely. We'll talk about that right now. Here comes the front for tomorrow during the afternoon. That little bit of green you see, that's the potential for some sprinkles. The high country sees some snow showers. Saturday looks pretty good. We'll have a northwest flow keeping the cold air coming. Here is Futurecast showing system number 2. 8 a.m. on Saturday, Sunday, we wake up to partly cloudy skies. By the end of the day, by 8 o'clock, we're seeing some sprinkles. Now, previous runs on Monday of Futurecast showed this thick purple band here with frozen precipitation. Well, now it's not even showing that. All the frozen precipitation is up to the north. And as we go through time, this is actually a brand new run of Futurecast that just came about a half hour ago. This is the European model. 5 a.m. on Monday, we have the chance for rain. But notice none of the pink and blue show up in North Carolina, at least our part of the state. So now we're a little bit more confident that this is just going to be in the form of rain. We have more models to come. We have another day to sort through this as the system comes on shore. We have better sampling of the atmosphere, so we'll watch to see if the models trend back to something frozen. As of right now, not doing that, and rain lasts through the day on Monday, and then Tuesday we're back into a colder air mass, and even colder as the week goes on. And there's the swath of snow from this system. Again, nothing around here, but just a lot of cold air. So here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow's high 53, partly to mostly cloudy, a 20% chance of sprinkle or light rain. 24 in the morning on Saturday, 41 the high. 48 on Sunday, partly to mostly cloudy, a 20% chance of a sprinkle by the end of the day. 40% chance of rain Sunday night, 60% on Monday, 50 the high. And then once that front moves on by, look at the cold air back in the low 40s for Tuesday and Wednesday. And by next Thursday, the high temperature may only be in the 30s, and with the wind feeling like the 20s all day. So we get deeper and deeper into the chill and much colder by next Thursday.
You will find me by the fireplace.
Definitely.
Thanks, Mike. 20 people received the Presidential Citizens Medal today. One of them played a role in integrating the student body at Duke. That is tonight's One Last Thing. That's in about 2 minutes.
But first, let's get you ready for the weekend. Here's what's happening in our area out and about. One last thing to talk about tonight. Earlier today, President Biden honored 20 people with the Presidential Citizens Medal.
And one of them graduated from Duke and played a big role in its integration. Eleanor Smeal attended Duke in the late 1950s. You know, at that time, the school was not integrated and women only made up about a quarter of enrolled students. As part of a sorority on campus, she fought for integration.
In 1970, she formed the National Organization for Women. The White House put it this way: her strategic vision over more than 40 years embodies the American pursuit to create a fairer, more just world.
Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 on Fox 50 and 11 on WRAL.
We will see you then. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.